The big metal room was filled with strange sounds. Clicks, hums, and growls mixed together as 12 different types of aliens sat around a huge table. The air smelled like ozone, and something that reminded humans of wet metal. Ambassador Lisa Martinez sat straight in her chair. She wore her best blue uniform with shiny buttons. Her brown hair was pulled back tight, and her face showed the calm look she had practiced for years. Next to her, Captain Kyle Johnson shifted in his seat. He hated these meetings. He wanted to be on his ship, not stuck in a room full of politicians and aliens who might want to kill him. But it was the third human who made the aliens look twice. Dr. Sam Walker sat between the other two humans like he was made of stone. He had not said one word since they arrived 3 hours ago. His dark eyes moved slowly around the room, watching everything. In his hands, he held a small brown notebook and a simple pen. The aliens thought Sam looked weak. They were wrong. The Zephyrians were the first to speak. They looked like giant insects with too many arms. Their leader, called Zixt H, clicked his mouthparts together. The translation machine made his words sound like an angry radio. Humans think they can take our space, Zixt said. But we were flying between stars when your kind was still playing with rocks and sticks. The Etherians glowed brighter when they got upset. These aliens looked like walking crystals, and right now they were flashing red and orange lights. Their speaker, Loom Ara, made sounds like breaking glass. The humans build their cities on our sacred grounds, she said. They do not ask, they do not care, they just take. More aliens joined in. The hegemony was made up of 7 different species, and they all had complaints about humans. They said humans were thieves. They said humans were weak. They said humans did not belong in space. Lisa Martinez tried to keep everyone calm. We can work this out, she said. Humans want peace. We have room for everyone in space. The biggest alien in the room laughed. Vexstar was a Cronan, and he looked like a giant lizard that walked on 2 legs. His green scales were covered in scars, and his teeth were as long as human fingers. When he laughed, it sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. Humans want peace because they are afraid of war, Vexstar said. His voice was so deep it made the table shake. Look at them. Small, soft, weak. He pointed one clawed finger at Sam. That one has not even spoken. Is he too scared to talk? Sam did not look up from his notebook. He made a small mark on the page and kept writing. Lisa Martinez started to say something to defend him, but Kyle Johnson put his hand on her arm. Let him be, Kyle whispered. Sam knows what he's doing. But Lisa was not sure. Sam was supposed to be helping them. He was a scientist who studied alien life. He should be talking about biology and behavior. Instead, he just sat there like a bump on a log. The hegemony aliens kept talking. They made demands. They wanted humans to leave 3 whole star systems. They wanted money to pay for damages that humans had supposedly caused. They wanted humans to admit they were wrong and promise to never expand into new areas of space. You have 1 week to decide, Vexstar said. Give us what we want, or we will take it. The other aliens made sounds of agreement. The Zephyrians clicked faster. The Etherians flashed brighter. Even the smaller species that usually stayed quiet were nodding their heads, or whatever they had instead of heads. Lisa Martinez felt her heart sink. This was not going well. The aliens were not here to negotiate. They were here to make demands and threaten war if humans did not give in. During the first break, she pulled Kyle and Sam aside. They stood in a small room next to the main chamber. Through the thick walls, they could hear the aliens talking loudly about how easy it would be to crush the human fleet. This is a disaster, Lisa said. They are not taking us seriously. Kyle nodded. They think we're pushovers. Maybe we should show them some of our weapons data. Let them know we can fight back. Sam looked up from his notebook for the first time. His dark eyes were calm, almost sleepy. That would be a mistake, he said quietly. Why? Lisa asked. We need to show strength. Sam closed his notebook and put it in his jacket pocket. Because they want us to show strength. They want us to act like them. If we do that, we lose. I don't understand, Kyle said. Sam walked to the small window that looked out into space. Stars twinkled in the distance, and somewhere out there were the human colonies that everyone was fighting over. They think quiet means weak, Sam said. Let them think that. Lisa shook her head. Sam, they are going to declare war if we don't. Give them what they want. Millions of people will die. Sam turned back to them. For just a moment, his calm expression changed. Lisa saw something in his eyes that made her step back. It was not fear or anger. It was something much more dangerous. No, Sam said softly. They won't. Before Lisa could ask what he meant, the break was over. They had to go back to the main chamber. The aliens were waiting, and they looked more confident than before. As they walked back to their seats, Kyle whispered to Lisa, I've known Sam for 5 years. He's not just a scientist. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Kyle sat down and straightened. His uniform. I mean, there's a reason they picked him for this mission. And it's not because he's good at studying alien plants. Sam took his seat and pulled out his notebook again. He opened it to a fresh page and began to write. The aliens started talking again, making more demands and threats. But Sam was not writing down what they said. He was writing down how they said it, how they moved, how they breathed, how they showed fear or anger or confidence. He was studying them like bugs under a microscope, and they had no idea. The second day was worse than the first. The aliens had spent the night talking to each other, and they came back to the meeting room with their minds made up. They were done pretending to negotiate. Vexstar wore new scars on his arms. Lisa Martinez realized with horror that he had cut himself on purpose. It was some kind of Chronon war ritual. The other aliens had done things too. The Zephyrians had painted bright colors on their shells. The Etherians glowed with angry red light that never dimmed. We have decided, Vexstar announced as soon as everyone sat down. Humans will leave the 3-star systems. You will pay us for the damage you have caused, and you will promise never to expand again without our permission. Lisa tried to stay calm. Those systems have human colonies with millions of people. We cannot just abandon them. Then move them, said Zixtach. The Zephyrian leader's voice was sharper than yesterday. We do not care where they go, just not on our territory. But these are not your territories, Lisa said. These are empty systems. There were no alien colonies there when we arrived. Lumara, the Etherian speaker, flashed bright white. Empty to you, sacred to us. Humans do not understand the spirit of space. Lisa looked around the table. Every alien face showed the same thing. They were not going to change their minds. This was not a negotiation anymore. It was a list of demands. She glanced at Sam, who was writing in his notebook as usual. He had been quiet all morning, just watching and taking notes. Sometimes he would look up at one of the aliens for a long time, then write something down. Lisa wished she knew what he was thinking. Captain Kyle Johnson was getting angry. She could see it in the way he held his shoulders and the tight line of his mouth. Kyle was a good man, but he was a soldier first. He did not like being threatened. You are asking us to abandon our people, Kyle said. No human government would agree to that. Vexstar laughed his rockfall laugh. Then your people will die. It is simple. You would start a war over empty space? Lisa asked. We would finish a war, Vexstar corrected. Humans started this war when they invaded our territory. We will end it. The morning session ended with nothing solved. The aliens filed out of the room, talking loudly about human weakness and how easy the coming war would be. Lisa heard one of them say that human ships were made of tin foil and dreams. During lunch, Lisa, Kyle, and Sam sat alone in their small room. No one felt like eating. Through the walls, they could hear the aliens celebrating like they had already won. They are going to declare war, Lisa said. I can feel it. Kyle nodded. My ships are ready. But they outnumber us 3-1. And they have been fighting wars for thousands of years. Sam looked up from his notebook. How long have humans been fighting wars? Kyle seemed confused by the question. I don't know. Forever, I guess. Why? Sam made another note. Just curious. Lisa felt like screaming. Sam, can you please tell us what you are thinking? We are about to face a war that could destroy humanity, and you are acting like this is a science experiment. Sam closed his notebook and looked at her. His dark eyes were still calm, but there was something else there too. Something that made Lisa think of deep water and hidden things. It is a science experiment, Sam said quietly. I am studying them. Studying them for what? Kyle asked. To understand how they think, how they fight, how they die. The way Sam said the word die made both Lisa and Kyle go quiet. It was not said with anger or fear. It was said like a doctor talking about a medical procedure. Sam, Lisa said slowly, what exactly do you do for the government? Sam smiled, but it was not a happy smile. I study alien life forms. I learn how they work. I find out what makes them tick. And Kyle asked, and I learn how to make them stop ticking. Before either of them could ask more questions, it was time to go back to the main chamber. The afternoon session was even worse than the morning. The aliens had brought weapons with them. Not to use, they said, but to show respect for the coming war. Vexstar had a huge sword that looked like it was made from some kind of black metal. The blade was as long as a human arm and covered in strange symbols. He laid it on the table in front of him. This blade has tasted the blood of 17 different species, he said. Soon it will taste human blood too. Other aliens had brought weapons as well. The Zephyrians had razor-sharp claws that extended from their arms. The Etherians could focus their light into cutting beams. Even the smallest aliens had things that could kill. Lisa felt her heart pounding. This was not a negotiation anymore. This was a threat. The aliens were showing them exactly what would happen if humans did not give in to their demands. But Sam seemed more interested than scared. He was watching the weapons carefully, writing notes about each one. Sometimes he would stare at an alien for a long time, like he was trying to see inside their head. You humans have no honor, Vexstar said. You sneak around like thieves. You build your colonies in secret. You refuse to face us in honest battle. We do not want to fight, Lisa said. We want to find a peaceful solution. There is no peaceful solution, Zixth clicked. There is only victory or defeat. Humans will choose. The session ended with the aliens giving humans one more day to decide. One day to abandon their colonies and pay tribute, or face total war. As the aliens left, they were laughing and joking about how easy it would be to crush the human fleet. Lisa heard them making bets about how long the war would last. Most of them thought it would be over in a week. That night, Lisa could not sleep. She kept thinking about the millions of people in the human colonies. Families with children. Old people who had worked their whole lives to build new homes among the stars. Scientists and artists and farmers who just wanted to live in peace. She found Kyle in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He was still in his uniform, but his jacket was open and his tie was loose. I keep thinking about my daughter, Kyle said, without turning around. She is only 8 years old. If we lose this war, what kind of world will she grow up in? Lisa stood next to him. We will not lose. How can you be so sure? Lisa thought about Sam and his notebook, about the way he watched the aliens like a scientist studying bacteria, about the strange calm in his eyes when he talked about making things stop ticking. Because we have something they do not have, she said. What's that? We have Sam. Kyle turned to look at her. You really think one quiet scientist can save us from a war? Lisa looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were probably already moving toward human space. Weapons were being loaded. Soldiers were being told that tomorrow they would start killing humans. I think, Lisa said slowly, that we are about to find out why the quietest human in the room is always the most dangerous. Kyle was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I hope you are right. So did Lisa, because if she was wrong, humanity was about to face the worst war in its history, and they were going to face it alone. The third day started with drums. The aliens had brought war drums that echoed through the metal corridors of the station. The sound was deep and threatening, like thunder that never stopped. Ambassador Lisa Martinez woke up to the sound and knew immediately that something had changed. She got dressed quickly and went to find Captain Kyle Johnson and Dr. Sam Walker. They were supposed to meet for breakfast, but she found them both already awake in the observation room. They have been drumming for 2 hours, Kyle said. He looked tired. Dark circles under his eyes showed he had not slept much. Sam was sitting by the window, watching the alien ships outside. There were more of them now. During the night, 3 more battle fleets had arrived. The human delegation was completely outnumbered. They are getting ready for war, Lisa said. Sam turned from the window. No, they are getting ready for celebration. They think the war is already over. When they walked to the main chamber, Lisa saw what Sam meant. The aliens were not dressed for negotiation anymore. They wore battle paint and ceremonial armor. Their weapons were not hidden now. Every alien in the room had at least one weapon visible. Vextar looked like something from a nightmare. His green scales were painted with red and black patterns. His giant sword was strapped to his back, and smaller knives hung from his belt. When he smiled, his teeth looked like they had been sharpened to points. Today we finish this, he announced as soon as the humans sat down. Today humans choose, surrender or die. The other aliens made sounds of agreement. The Zephyrians clicked, their claws together in a rhythm that sounded like breaking bones. The Etherians flashed in patterns that hurt to look at. Even the smaller species that usually stayed quiet were making threatening gestures. Lisa tried one more time to find a peaceful solution. We can share the star systems. There is room for everyone. No, said Lumara. The Etherian's light was so bright, it was hard to look at her. Humans have shown their true nature. You are a disease that spreads through space. You must be stopped. We have studied your species, added Zixith. You are weak because you think too much. You waste time with questions and debates. Real warriors act. Vextar stood up. He was so tall that his head almost touched the ceiling. We have been fighting wars since before your star was born. We know strength. We know victory. You know. Only fear. The alien leader walked around the table until he was standing behind the human delegates. Lisa could smell something like sulfur and old blood on his breath. Your greatest weakness, Vextar continued, is that you doubt yourselves. You question every decision. You feel bad about killing your enemies. That is why you will lose. Lisa felt her heart pounding. This was it. The aliens were about to declare war. Millions of people were going to die, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. But then Sam Walker did something unexpected. He closed his notebook For 3 days, Sam had been writing constantly. The little brown book had never left his hands. But now he set it down on the table and looked up at Vexstar. "You are right," Sam said quietly. Everyone in the room went silent. The drumming from outside seemed to get louder. Lisa and Kyle both stared at Sam in shock. Had he just agreed with the alien who wanted to destroy humanity? "We do think too much," Sam continued. His voice was still soft, but somehow it carried clearly through the chamber. "We study our enemies very carefully. We learn everything about them before we act." Vexstar laughed. "You study because you are afraid to fight." Sam stood up slowly. He was much smaller than Vexstar, but he did not look afraid. "We study because we want to know exactly how to kill you." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Every alien suddenly stopped moving. The clicking and flashing and drumming all went quiet. "What did you say?" Vexstar asked. Sam reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. It looked like a tablet computer, but the screen was showing something that made the aliens lean forward to see. "This is not a notebook," Sam said, holding up the device. "This is a biological scanner. For 3 days, I have been mapping the anatomy of every species in this room." He touched the screen, and a 3-dimensional image appeared in the air, above the table. It was a perfect model of Vexstar's body, showing every organ, every bone, every nerve. "Cronin warriors have a nerve cluster at the base of their skull," Sam explained in the same quiet voice. "If you apply exactly 4.5 pounds of pressure to this spot, the entire nervous system shuts down. Instant paralysis." Vexstar took a step back. The confidence was gone from his face. Sam touched the screen again. Now the image showed a Zephyrian body. Zephyrians have a breathing system that is very sensitive to certain chemicals. Common earth pollen, for example, causes their airways to close completely. Zixth started clicking rapidly, but the sound was different now. It was the sound of fear. "Etherians," Sam continued, showing another image, "are essentially living crystals. They have a specific resonance frequency. If you play the right sound at the right volume, their entire body structure collapses." Lumara's light began to flicker. She was trying to say something, but no words came out. Sam walked around the table, just as Vexstar had done earlier. But when Sam did it, the aliens shrank back from him. "You see," Sam said, "humans do not stay quiet because we are weak. We stay quiet because we are thinking. We are studying. We are learning exactly how to kill you." Lisa and Kyle watched in amazement as the power in the room shifted completely. The aliens who had been so confident minutes before now looked nervous and uncertain. "Every species in this room has been fighting the same enemies for thousands of years," Sam continued. "You use the same tactics. You make the same mistakes. You never change because you never need to." He stopped walking and looked directly at Vexstar. "But you have never fought humans before. You have never fought a species that studies its enemies. For years before the first shot is fired." Sam touched his device again. The holographic display showed detailed battle plans, ship movements, weapon specifications, troop numbers. "We have been watching your fleets for months," Sam said. "We know exactly how many ships you have. We know their weapons and their weaknesses. We know your battle tactics because you have been using the same ones for centuries." The aliens began to whisper among themselves. The whispers sounded worried. "You think you outnumber us 3-1, Sam said. "But you are wrong. You outnumber our visible fleet 3-1. You have no idea how many ships we have that you cannot see." Vexstar found his voice. "You are bluffing. Humans do not have secret fleets," Sam smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Humans have been keeping secrets since before we discovered fire. We are very good at it." He put the device back in his jacket. You wanted to know why I stayed quiet for 3 days. I stayed quiet because I was working. I was studying you. I was learning how to win a war before it started. The room was completely silent now. Even the drumming had stopped. This is why humans are dangerous, Sam said, sitting back down. We do not win wars by being the strongest or the fastest or the most aggressive. We win wars by being smarter than our enemies. Lisa finally found her voice. I think, she said carefully, we need to discuss new terms for this negotiation. The aliens looked at each other nervously. The war they thought would be easy was suddenly looking very different. Vextar stared at Sam for a long time. Then he said, You were planning for war while we thought we were negotiating for peace. Sam picked up his notebook and opened it to a fresh page. No, he said quietly. I was planning for peace, but I was ready for war. There is a difference. And for the first time in 3 days, the aliens were the ones who looked afraid. The silence in the room was so complete that Lisa Martinez could hear her own heartbeat. The alien delegates, who had been so confident just minutes before now, looked at Dr. Sam Walker like he was a loaded weapon. Sam calmly opened his notebook and began reading from it. His voice was still quiet, but every word carried clearly in the silent chamber. Day 1, he began. Cronin delegation shows signs of dehydration by the 3rd hour. Their homeworld has 18-hour days, but station. Time is based on 24-hour cycles. Extended negotiations will put them at a disadvantage. Vextar's eyes widened. He had been drinking more water than usual, but he thought no one had noticed. Etherian representative dims when under stress, Sam continued. Energy reserves are not infinite. Prolonged pressure will cause system failure. Estimated time to complete shutdown, 6 hours of continuous negotiation. Lumara's light flickered. She was trying to control it, but her body was betraying her fear. Zephyrian clicking patterns change when they are being dishonest, Sam read. Normal communication is 23 clicks per minute. When lying, the rate increases to 37 clicks per minute. Zixth H stopped clicking entirely. His arm claws were perfectly still. Sam turned a page in his notebook. Day 2. Cronin War Chief shows preference for right-handed attacks. Left arm has reduced muscle mass, probably from ceremonial scarring. In combat, always defends from the right side. Vextar unconsciously moved his left arm behind his back. Etherian. Light patterns follow predictable sequences when preparing for aggressive action. Red flash, orange pulse, white spike. Always the same order. Always the same timing. Lunara's light had turned a dull blue. She was trying not to flash at all. Zephyrian. Respiratory system requires specific gas mixture, Sam continued. Station atmosphere is 20% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, 2% other gases. Zephyrians need 22% oxygen. They are slowly suffocating and do not realize it. Zixth began breathing faster. Now that he was thinking about it, he did feel a little dizzy. Ambassador Lisa Martinez watched in amazement as Sam systematically dismantled the confidence of every alien in the room. He had been observing them so carefully that he knew things about them that they did not know about themselves. Captain Kyle Johnson was starting to smile. He had known Sam was more than just a scientist, but this was beyond anything he had expected. Bay 3, Sam said, turning another page. Cronon delegation arrived with 37 ships. Zephyrian fleet has 41 vessels. Etherian battle. Group consists of 26 ships. Total alien fleet, 104 ships. The aliens shifted nervously. Their fleet numbers were supposed to be secret. Human visible fleet, 35 ships, Sam continued. Alien intelligence estimates this is our entire force. They are wrong. Vextar leaned forward. How many ships do you really have? Sam looked up from his notebook. Enough? That is not. An answer, Vexstar growled. It is the only answer you need, Sam replied. You see, this is the difference between your species and mine. You count ships like they are the only thing that matters. We count advantages. He stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into space. The alien fleets were visible. In the distance, their ships arranged in neat battle formations. You brought your fleets here to intimidate us, Sam said. But you made a mistake. You showed us exactly what you have. Ship types, weapon configurations, crew numbers. We have been scanning your fleets for 3 days. He turned back to the aliens. Do you know what we discovered? Your ships are very impressive, very powerful, but they are also very old. The aliens looked confused. Old was good in their cultures. Old meant proven. Old meant battle-tested. Your newest ship is 67 years old, Sam explained. Your oldest is over 300 years old. Do you know how old our newest ship is? No one answered. 2 weeks, Sam said. Fresh from the shipyard. Built with technology your species has never seen. Vexstar stood up, his confidence returning. New does not mean better. Our ships have won 1,000 battles. Against each other, Sam pointed out. You have been fighting the same enemies with the same weapons for centuries. You know exactly what to expect from each other. He walked back to the table and put his hands on the surface. But you have never fought humans before. You have never fought a species that builds new weapons for every battle. You have never fought an enemy that adapts. Lisa was beginning to understand. Sam was not just threatening the aliens. He was teaching them something about human nature. You think war is about who has the biggest guns, Sam said. Humans learned long ago that war is about who has the best information. He opened his device again. The holographic display showed detailed schematics of alien weapons and defenses. Cronin battle cruisers have thick armor, but their exhaust ports are unshielded. One missile in the right place, and the entire ship goes dark. Vexstar's face went pale. That was supposed to be classified information. Zephyrian fighters are fast and maneuverable, but they have no long-range weapons. Keep them at distance, and they are harmless. Zixt H began clicking rapidly, then stopped himself. Etherian ships are powered by contained energy fields. Disrupt the containment, and they lose all power. The disruption frequency is child's play for human engineers. Lumari's light was now so dim, it was barely visible. Sam closed the device and looked around the room. This is what I have been doing for 3 days. Not hiding because I was afraid. Not staying quiet because I was weak. I was gathering intelligence. He sat back down and picked up his pen. Every word you spoke, every gesture you made, every breath you took was recorded and analyzed. We know your psychological profiles. We know your physical weaknesses. We know your battle tactics. The aliens were completely silent now. Even the drumming from outside had stopped. You wanted to know why humans are dangerous, Sam said. This is why. We do not rush into battle. We do not attack without thinking. We study our enemies until we know them better than they know themselves. Captain Kyle Johnson finally spoke. How long have you been studying them? Sam looked at Kyle. The individual delegates? 3 days. Their species? 3 years. Their technology? 10 years. Their psychology? Ever since we first met aliens, we have been studying how they think and fight. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. You mean this was all planned? Sam shook his head. No, we hoped for peace. We always hope for peace. But we prepare for war. We always prepare for war. He looked directly at Vexstar. You made one critical mistake. You assumed that because we want peace, we are not good at war. But humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have gotten very good at it. Vextar sat down heavily. His warrior's pride was crumbling. You ... You are never going to surrender. No, Sam said simply. We were never going to surrender, but we were willing to share. We were willing to compromise. We were willing to find a solution that worked for everyone. He gestured to the alien delegates. You were the ones who chose war. You were the ones who brought weapons and made threats. You were the ones who decided that peace was not possible. The room fell silent again. The aliens looked at each other nervously. Their plans for an easy war were falling apart. So what? Happens now? Lumara asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. Sam smiled, but it was not a cruel smile. It was the smile of a teacher who had just finished a difficult lesson. Now, he said, we negotiate. For real this time. No more threats. More demands. We sit down like intelligent beings and find a solution that works for everyone. He opened his notebook to a fresh page. Unless, of course, you still want to fight. In which case, I should mention that human reinforcements have been arriving. All night. By my count, we now outnumber you 4-1. Vextar looked out the window at the space where the alien fleets waited. I do not see any human ships. Sam's smile got a little wider. That is because you are not looking in the right place, or with the right instruments. The alien delegates began to whisper among themselves. The whispers sounded worried and confused. How? Do we know you are not lying? Zixth asked. Sam reached into his jacket and pulled out a small communicator. Kyle, would you like to call our fleet and ask them to decloak? Just for a moment? Kyle Johnson grinned and took the communicator. Admiral Chun, this is Captain Johnson. Could you please make our ships visible for about 10 seconds? He pressed a button, and suddenly the space around the station was filled with human warships. Hundreds of them. They had been there all along, invisible to alien sensors. The aliens stared in shock. They were completely surrounded. After 10 seconds, the human ships vanished again. Now, Sam said, putting away the communicator, shall we discuss terms? The negotiations that followed were unlike anything the aliens had ever experienced. Instead of the angry demands and threats they were used to, the humans sat calmly and discussed solutions. Ambassador Lisa Martinez took the lead, but she was a different person now. The fear and uncertainty were gone. She spoke with the confidence of someone who held all the cards. We want to settle this peacefully, she said, but the terms have to be fair for everyone. Vextar looked like he had aged 10 years in the last hour. His war paint was smudged, and his weapons sat untouched on the table. What do you propose? Sam Walker opened his notebook and began reading from a new page. Shared development of the disputed star systems. Humans and aliens working together instead of fighting over territory. Impossible, Zixth clicked. Our species do not cooperate. We compete. That is your choice, Sam said calmly. But it is not a very smart choice. Competition wastes resources. Cooperation creates prosperity. He turned to a page covered with numbers and calculations. The 3 star systems in question have enough resources to support colonies from all of our species. There is no need to fight over them. Lumara's light flickered weakly. How do we know humans will keep their word? Captain Kyle Johnson laughed. How do we know you will keep yours? But that is not the point. The point is that we are stronger together than apart. Sam stood up and walked to the window again. The alien fleets were still visible in the distance, but they looked different now. Less threatening, more vulnerable. You have been fighting each other for thousands of years, he said. What has it gotten you? Endless wars, wasted resources, dead soldiers, broken families. He turned back to the room. Humans have been fighting wars too. We know what they cost. That is why we prefer peace. Vexstar was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You really were prepared to destroy us." "Yes," Sam said without hesitation. "If you had chosen war, we would have won, quickly and completely, but we would have taken no joy in it." "Why not?" Vexstar asked. "Victory brings honor." Sam sat back down and looked directly at the Chronon leader. "Because we understand something your species does not. Every enemy you kill today is someone who cannot help you tomorrow." The aliens looked confused. This was not how warriors were supposed to think. "You see war as a way to prove strength," Sam explained. "Humans see war as a failure of imagination. We prefer to turn enemies into allies." Lisa took over the conversation. "Here is what we propose. Joint colonies in the disputed. Systems. Shared research facilities. Combined defense fleets. Instead of fighting over resources, we work together to develop them. What is in it for us?" Zixt H asked. Sam opened his device again. The holographic display showed technical specifications for human technology. Everything we have learned about space travel, medicine, agriculture, and defense. Shared freely. The aliens leaned forward to look at the display. What they saw made their eyes widen. Human technology was decades ahead of anything they had. "You would give us your secrets?" Lumara asked. "In exchange for yours," Sam said. "Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied." Kyle Johnson added, "And there is another advantage. If we are allies instead of enemies, you do not have to worry about us studying your weaknesses anymore." Vexstar actually smiled at that. It was the first time he had smiled since the negotiations began. "You make it sound easy," the Chronon leader said. "But our species have been enemies for centuries. How do we suddenly become friends?" Sam closed his device. "The same way humans learn to cooperate with each other. We stopped thinking of differences as threats and started thinking of them as advantages." He gestured around the room. "Look at what we have here. Chronon strength, Zephyrian speed, Etherian energy manipulation, human adaptability. Imagine what we could accomplish working together." The aliens began to whisper among themselves. The whispers sounded different now. Less afraid, more curious. Lisa sensed the change in mood. "We are not asking you to give up your cultures or your independence. We are asking you to share the benefits of cooperation." "And if we refuse?" Vexstar asked. Sam's expression did not change. "Then you go back to fighting each other while humans continue to expand and develop. In 50 years, you will be so far behind us that cooperation will no longer be possible." The threat was not spoken harshly, but it was clear. The aliens could join the human community or be left behind by it. "You have put us in an impossible position," Lumara said. "Cooperate or become irrelevant." "No," Sam said gently. "We have given you a choice. The same choice we gave ourselves long ago. Evolve or become extinct." The negotiations continued for hours. The aliens argued among themselves. They demanded guarantees and protections. They wanted to know exactly what cooperation would mean for their species. Sam answered every question with facts and figures. He showed them economic projections, population growth models, and resource distribution charts. He painted a picture of a future where war was unnecessary because prosperity was shared. Slowly, the aliens began to understand. Cooperation was not weakness. It was efficiency. It was survival. By the end of the day, they had reached an agreement. The disputed star systems would be developed jointly. Technology would be shared. Defense fleets would be combined. And most importantly, future conflicts would be resolved through negotiation, not war. As the alien delegates prepared to leave, Vexstar approached Sam. "I have one question," he said. What is it? How long have you been planning this? The cooperation. Idea, I mean. Sam smiled. Since the moment we learned there were other intelligent species in the universe, we knew we would eventually have to choose between conquest and cooperation. We chose cooperation. But you were ready for conquest too. Yes, we were ready for that too, because sometimes to achieve peace, you have to be prepared for war. Vexstar nodded slowly. You are a dangerous species. Yes, Sam agreed. But we are only dangerous to those who threaten us. To those who work with us, we are the most loyal allies in the galaxy. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, they looked different than they had 3 days ago. The arrogance was gone. The contempt was gone. In their place was something new. Respect. Lisa Martinez watched them go, then turned to Sam. That was incredible, but I have to ask, how much of what you said was true? Sam picked up his notebook and put it in his jacket. Which part? The hidden fleet, the advanced technology, the secret preparations. Sam walked to the window and looked out. At the stars. All of it, every word. Kyle Johnson shook his head in amazement. You really have been planning this for years. Not planning, Sam corrected. Preparing. There is a difference. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for war. We wanted cooperation, but we were ready for conflict. He turned back to his colleagues. That is what makes humans dangerous. Not that we are stronger or faster or more aggressive than other species, but that we think ahead. We plan for every possibility. Lisa felt a chill of understanding. You knew they would threaten us. I knew they would try to intimidate us, Sam said. Most species do when they first meet humans. We look weak to them, small and soft and vulnerable. But we are not weak, Sam smiled. No, we are not weak. We are quiet. And there is a very big difference. As they prepared to leave the station, Kyle asked one final question. Sam, what would have happened if they had actually declared war? Sam was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, the war would have lasted exactly 47 minutes. We had everything planned down to the second. And after that, we would have helped them rebuild. Because that is what humans do. We win our wars quickly and completely. Then we help our former enemies become our future allies. Lisa shook her head. You really are the most dangerous person in the room. Sam picked up his bag and headed for the door. No, he said quietly. I am the most prepared person in the room. There is a difference. As they left the station, the alien fleets were already beginning to disperse. The war that had seemed inevitable 3 days ago was over before it began, and in its place was the beginning of something new, something better. The quiet human had won again, not through violence or threats, but through patience, preparation, and the simple understanding that the best way to win a war is to make sure it never starts. Behind them, the stars shone peacefully in the darkness of space, and somewhere among those stars, the future was being written by species who had learned that cooperation was stronger than conquest, and that the quietest voice in the room often had the most important things to say.